Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Facebook and YouTube. My name is Kristen Ryder, and I am the hostess with the mostest of the 17th episode of my show called Who Are You? Who, who are you? Who, Oh my gosh, everybody. I have a beautiful goddess with me today. And if you need a reading or sound healing, go to my website, kristenwriter.com. I'm going to do a pop-up tarot Wednesday or Thursday because I am traveling this weekend and going to have a break into some normal. We got a full moon coming in hot in Aries on Thursday at 24 degrees. Y'all know I got a lot of Aries in my chart, and I'm here to flame it up. Not too hot because we don't have water, which brings me to my beautiful sister here, Miss Lizzy Zima. You are a neighbor of mine here in Asheville. You have been working your patootie off for the community, also doing your light work to assist everyone through the trauma, through all of, I mean, you've just been crushing it. You've been crushing it. So Lizzy Zima, everybody. And there can be humor in trauma. Damn it. There can be humor in trauma because that's how we keep our frequency up, right? This is how we ascend in this now, in this process of whatever we are experiencing. And it's not just us here in Asheville. Everybody's having their shifts everywhere. There and let's watch all of that. Mine is more traumatic than yours. Oh, you want to say hi? Oh, victim consciousness. Oh, victim consciousness. Aren't we all so tired of you? And I'm talking to myself here too. And what life has brought me. And I'm like, wow, I'm still here through all these battles. Okay. Hi, Wesley. Hi, Heidi. Thank you so much for joining in, y'all. Lizzy. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Lizzy. Okay. Oh my God. We were talking backstage, y'all. I love her. And I have a decade. She's like, wait, have we met before? Because I was putting the pieces together when we got reconnected on Facebook, which I've just been back on Facebook since February of this year because, starting to come out and off of my own personal battlefields and exciting things that I've had wonderful lessons of learning in. But I saw you and I was like, now I know her because you reached out because I do my girlfriend Paige's body bar, which has totally transformed my life. And she's a bestie that I've known since we were 19, New York City, musical theater, all the jazz. But when you reached out to me, I was like, I know her. How did she find me? And then I was like, oh, we met through my dear friend, Marianne Mitchell. And then we just had this beautiful memory of your daughter's first birthday at a park where all of us mamas were like bearing the breath. How you naturally feed your baby with the magic of the beautiful woman's body where your baby will suckle in the morning, readjust what the baby needs for that day, totally redo our chemistry and give them the vibration of our mother's milk that they need. And you that there was a rainbow that they superimposed behind the picture of all the
It's famous for sure.
It's famous. I'm like, can you send that to me in our Facebook chat?
I will.
I'm like, I
I'll
don't even
find
know if
it.
I'm in it because my son was so, I don't even, maybe I didn't have it. Maybe I was just pregnant,
You might have been pregnant.
which is why I don't remember. But we just put the pieces together in the green room before this show. Now, you are a movement goddess in your own right. Can you take us through your amazing empower body, mind, soul techniques and like how you were led, like your discovery journey of this work?
Well, I have been into movement and fitness and working out since I was young. So my dad introduced me to the gym and sports very, very young. So I grew up knowing that the more that I moved my body, the more like confident that I felt, the better I felt in my body, the better my emotions, my mental health felt. So I was kind of lucky to have that part handed down to me in a way.
Nice.
And I had been, working out at the gym until I got into spiritual stuff and then started doing just yoga and kind of like brushed off the gym and strength training. And then when I became a mom, I was like, well, I need childcare. And I love working out, actually. Like, this is a big part of me that I kind of pushed aside to be spiritual. And so I kind of had a resurgence, renaissance of me being at the gym, and I'm like, "Oh my God, like this is such a part of me." I love like the pump of working out and the music and moving to the beat. Like I love the high of it, the endorphin high of it, right? And but I also love like yoga and being in a spiritual space with other people and meditating together and maybe having a space to cry if I needed to cry in a class and have like a shift in my experience. But I also wanted to like dance wildly and like let my like sensual, sexy goddess out too. So I'm like, I really need a space that I can, tap into all of these parts of me. Okay. So then the pandemic hit, and I saw myself experience anxiety for the first time ever. I had acne, just a lot of anxiety, a lot of food allergies and stuff like that showing up. And I was in like a functional freeze state. I didn't know what it was at the time, but it drew me to learn more and more about the nervous system and things that we can do to support ourselves somatically, which just means like with our body, to be nimble in our nervous system and down regulate out of that anxiety. So, because of my experience in the pandemic, I started to learn a lot more about the nervous system. And so now I've integrated that wisdom inside of my class. So, I kind of sometimes explain it like we're healing our inner child, we're activating our inner like warrior, we're activating our inner goddess and our higher self, and, making sure that we're sitting and meditating and, tapping into our inner guidance at the end of class as well. Because I think that we kind of mentioned this beforehand, we're kind of so used to just like following along with like what the scripts of society are telling us to do, and where are they leading us? We're in this point of waking up to our sovereignty and to our co-creative power, and to really like remember how to be self-led in a powerful way, from our own connection to our higher self, source, our intuition, whatever you want to call it. So this is a space, where we come. I do it in person and I do it online, and the formats are a little different. But this is a space like where you show up to the room, and it's a safe container, a ceremonial container with other women, and there's, right off the bat, a sense of sisterhood and safety. And safety is so key because if we're going to drop into our nervous system, right, our nervous system is really looking for just two things, really. Am I in danger, or am I in safety?
Mm.
And the more safe we are, the more that we can relax. And then in that relaxation, we can also let go of some of the stress, cortisol, stress hormones that we have been carrying, because trauma is actually stored in our body. And if we don't take the time to release and let go of that trauma, it ends up causing a whole bunch of long term issues like chronic depression and anxiety and pain and autoimmune conditions, right? So, really, this work is It's fitness, yes, and resiliency building and tapping us into our own inner strength and our power and our guidance. But we're also really learning how the nervous system works and
Mhm.
understanding like which state are we in and how could we use our tools to upregulate if we are, in a free state, how can we start to mobilize ourselves out of that? If we're in anxious mode, what are some tools that we can do to take ourselves down, right? So just understanding how the nervous system works is a really key part of the education that I offer. And
Mhm.
then there's, the safe space that we create for ourselves and within community to let go of some of the stuff that we have been holding on to, right? And then we're building resilience through these practices so that we have more capacity to handle the stress, and trauma that life is, it's going to bring.
There's
So,
no stress or trauma here. There's no
yeah.
stress or trauma. None at all. Nope, not here. Nope, not here. Well, that is so amazing. So you learned about the nervous system first, and then, did you just allow your intuition to guide you with the movements of how, like, is it a set structure that you
I
have?
do
Yeah.
I do kind of have a flow. Like if you're coming to an in-person class, it's a 75-minute container. And yeah, there's definitely like an arc to that class.
Mhm.
And so we start with somatic practices. And it's funny because the more I studied the nervous system, the more that I'm like, wow, I was doing like most of these things
Intuition.
intuitively. Yeah.
Can you explain what somatic means to
Yeah.
the audience?
The soma is just the body. So it's really just a fancy kind of, like buzzworthy term that we're using to to
Wasn't
just
it
mean like embodiment, like
okay,
something with the
'cause didn't
body.
they take a Soma holiday in Brave New World?
I'm not
Did you
familiar with
not
it.
read that book? I had to read
Mm-mm.
it in, like, middle school or maybe high
Mm,
school, and they would take a Soma holiday, which I think was,
a
like,
body.
LSD, but we don't need to do that because we have access to it, but that's funny.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came.
And we're such a culture operating from our mind.
Mhm.
And we largely have disconnected from this animal body. We kind of think it's like evolution, right? To like cut ourselves off from our body, right? And manipulate our body. But really this is about coming back and making peace, right, with our animal body and learning how to just work with it, right? The more we're in this animal body, right, the more we can actually sense our surroundings and our internal cues, right? And the greater sense of safety we can cultivate inside this body and on this earth, right? Animals are so in their body, they can feel through every like hair, right? Like if you came up on an animal, like they would know it, right? And we have that capacity as well, but we have disconnected from it, right? If I ask you right now, like, where are you feeling pain in your body? Like most people, like they may or may not be able to actually tell where the
Even
pain is.
right, like, not even connect because, that's also a way that we've been conditioned in society to not feel our feelings or to disconnect, literally.
Exactly. Yeah. And we think that's going to help us out, but really, it actually, in the end, makes us feel less safe and less connected to our power and our guidance, right?
Mhm.
So the process is really about coming back into this animal body and rebuilding trust with this animal body. And if you see an animal in the wild, after it maybe gets chased, say a prey animal gets chased by the predator, it's attacked, so maybe it's got in its mouth, like a cat has the mouse like in its mouth. If it gets distracted, the cat goes away and the mouse has a chance to get free. That mouse was playing dead, right? It was going into an immobilized freeze state. The threat was so intense, it could not run, it could not fight. So what did it do instead, right? The kind of the last line of defense is playing dead, right? So when it got to enough safety, that creature would start to like shake and release that stress hormone through its body, and it wouldn't have to then go to therapy for 10 years, right, and talk it out,
You're
right?
right.
It's like, it's just, okay, we can't live with, and right now, especially in our region, we have all been on a at least 10-day, you know, cortisol pump,
Well,
right?
and it's been 2 weeks now,
Yeah,
right? It's been 2, because I mean,
it
we were
has.
talking backstage also, I was like, "Oh, when did Cell come on?" And we were trying to go through the timeline of it, and I'm like, "Okay, you and I connected online 10 years ago, which was last month."
Yeah,
That's how it, like, feels.
it's
It's a lot,
wild.
and the
Mhm.
cortisol levels and the
And we
collect
can't yeah, we can't stay at that level, right? So
no,
I think we all are getting this right now, like,
yeah,
the clench and the dilated pupils and only focusing on the threat and not really being able to slow down and being either hypermobilized and or flip-flopping into a frozen state of kind of immobility and overwhelm and maybe even numbing, right? Coping. So we may notice some of those patterns. Probably all of us are noticing those patterns and also realizing how we can't sustain that. Like these states are there to like when we need them to go on to survive, And they do a great job of that. Like if we actually had to run from a tiger, like we will want that to come on, our sympathetic activation
oh,
of
yeah,
our nervous system. But we can't live like that. So now, like 2 weeks in, I think like we're aware we need to sleep deeply, right? Like
yes,
we need to rest, we need to slow down. We can't sustain that level of survival response long term without real severe consequences. And we already have other severe consequences that we're dealing with as far as health conditions and water and toxins and all of that. So we really need to take care of our health right now.
yeah,
And our nervous system is really the command center for every other system of the body. It up and down regulates the function of every one of our cells. And so we want to make sure that, we can go into sympathetic fight or flight when we need to, but then we can downshift when we don't need to. And that can be hard when we got to such an activation level that it's not like, okay, let me just take a deep breath, like
yeah,
that
it's
ain't working.
And because so what was, like the first weekend was the most what just happened to us, the shock level and whatnot. So, and I know you actually went out into the field and, I was navigating things in my local, we have elderly people that live here. So I'm hopping the fence
Sure.
to get cool water and, doing all that
Yeah.
stuff here. But
And
in
I did that too. I had to towel dry my basement and make sure my kids were good and then went out.
Yeah, it's like it really is like get your own house in order first so your cup is full and ready to be of service to others. So then what was your self-care practice when you did go out into the community and help people? Because you went a few days in a row when I was you were like,
I'm I'm a self-care coach. I teach all of this stuff and I'm not saying that I did it perfectly, right? Like
"Oh God,
when
no. What?"
when I went I got, okay, so people like connection and co-regulation is so important. So for many of us, we may have felt that urge to like, check on our people and connect to our neighbors, right? And I saw this in COVID and I saw this again now. I cope with crisis by over functioning, right? So I go into that
Yeah.
hyper mobile, like it's a fight or flight basically. And I'm going towards, I'm almost like fighting the danger by like helping, like
Yeah.
so basically when I was, connecting with neighbors and everything and I found out that there was, oh my God, so much destruction that I wasn't even aware of, like a half a mile to a mile from my house. It was bad. And people lost their lives, people lost their homes, and they had a world kitchen set up at a local business here. And it was a place to plug in, and so when my daughter went back with her dad and then I was gonna be alone again, right? It
Shocking.
that was part of my coping strategy, really, and my nervous system impulse. I'm someone who has a probably 15-year morning practice. Of course, that shifted while I had kids and stuff, but like I have a very deep ingrained pattern habit of waking up, getting my coffee, going to sit at my altar, doing my practices. I create practices so I help other people develop morning practices. And I was waking up like I got like I got to go. And so I did not do any of that. I mean, there was also the impulse to look on the phone to connect, right? That's another way that like we're trying to connect and find out what's going on and mobilize ourselves and help. So that, and I was just checking in with people and then getting down to the volunteer scene, and you know, it was so rewarding because I felt like all my skills were able to, be of use in such a beautiful way. I felt
Right.
so on purpose, and I was also like, okay, like let's just keep going, like on a cortisol pump, and so I would when I got home from standing and serving and connecting and speaking Spanish and helping people feel comfortable to receive and just talking to people. Um, I would come home and I would stretch, because I had to.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm not doing it in the morning, but I'm gonna come lay on my mat. I'm gonna stretch. I'm gonna breathe. I'm gonna roll out my back. Like, I need to wake up and do this again tomorrow. Like, so
Right.
this is just a basic level of being able to sustain this. It was helpful to a degree, but really like I really was in the pump until day 9. It was like
Wow.
it was I think, well, I think it was maybe actually I think there was a couple moments.
It's okay if you
Thursday,
don't know the day, girl. Listen,
Thursday to
people are not
Friday.
experiencing what we're experiencing, and
Yeah,
they don't know the day either,
I
so
know.
we're crushing it.
So it's about a weekend and I'm tired. I'm tired and I'm like I'm just overwhelmed and tired, and I sat down at the table with an elder woman. She was just there eating her lunch and very present. Of course, she was an undercover angel slash professional listener there at the right moment. It's kind of like been like this magical synchronistic experience, right? Kind of like if you've been to Burning Man, like there's no money exchange and everybody's coming together in this magical way and all these synchronicities. It really has been like that. But the lady was there and I looked into her eyes and I shared some of my story and I just started to down regulate. Right? Connection is so key. And in a time of intense crisis like what we've been through, we may find that it's like, oh, when someone just gives us a hug or puts their hand, or looks into our eyes, we go, oh, okay, like I can, and so I had, and then another couple friends came up, beautiful, amazing professional listeners in their own right as well. And I got to talk a little more and shed some tears. And that's when I started to downregulate. And then
Wow.
it was Sunday pretty soon there, Sunday, and we instigated a beautiful church service with like gospel music. We were singing Amazing Grace at the volunteer thing, and people coming together in a shared field with prayer, with song, with intention. And instantly took off my shoes, let my feet ground into the earth. And I'm like, I've been going at such a rate. This is my chance to receive, like,
Wow.
and I took it, and I was like, and then he's like, anybody want a blessing, and I was like, yep. And I sat in the center of the circle and everyone's throwing holy water and prayers. And I'm all like, yeah, I have tension in here and I'm like, okay, like I'm receiving, like this is a gift. And so it really was like, of course, all of the somatic things that I teach, like they can be so helpful, and when we're in an acute, like, what the fuck, territory, like we have to remember that connection and belonging is imperative to our nervous system safety. And
Yes.
so it's almost like our, superfood of all the somatic tools. And it's a conundrum because other people may or may not be there in each moment. So
Right.
we have to have tools to self regulate somatically. Connection with earth, connection with source, those are secure attachments. Those are always here, right? So we got to be strong in all of these. And in moments like this, we need each other. Like a hug is going to do with someone that's present is going to be so much more than my tapping or whatever, you know?
Right. Right. Oh, do you do EFT tapping as well?
I do sometimes, yeah.
I know. There's so many
There's so
gifts
many tools.
and it's
Yeah.
so many tools, right? Hey, Tracy, my girl from Texas is in. She's like, I'm giving you both hugs right now.
No.
Hugs.
See, that's what we need. We need
That
lots of
is what
hugs.
we need. Now, is your in-person studio still standing or
Yeah, so I see one-on-one clients from my home in Swannanoa, and my little space is good. And then I teach group classes for women at Euphora in West Asheville. It's a dance and fitness studio, and they are, operating without internet and
okay,
without water.
right?
So
None of us have water.
classes are free for now, slash by donation. And any of the classes at Euphora are right now. So
And
I
is that
highly suggest taking advantage of that.
yeah, is that EUPHORA?
It's not. It's just UPHORA. And it's the old Terpsichore next to the bowling alley on Patton Avenue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that.
Um,
It's still
Thank you. Yeah. And
upcoming.
my class is Wednesday morning at 9:15, and it's for women. It's going to be by donation for the next 4 weeks. I
Okay.
really want to provide a ceremonial space for us to come together as women and to rest our nervous systems, to connect with each other, to hold space, and to move some of this charge through our bodies, as well as to just, connect to our guidance and remember how powerful we truly are. And, our intention to let this tragedy, this crisis, this trauma really birth us open into more of who we're really truly here to be.
Who, dun, 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 dun. That's so right. And I'm looking at my schedule. I'm like, today's what? Monday?
Today's Monday.
So Wednesdays at 9:15 in West Asheville. I know what bowling alley you're talking about at
Mhm.
Euphoria. I'm
Yeah, and all their classes are free, so you can go to any of the classes as well. And there's something about being together and moving our body that's really healing and really what we need right now. So whether you come to Euphoria or my class or just get together with some friends, sit around the fire, share your stories, cry, maybe put a song on and dance, maybe do a couple squeezes and releases, you know,
and get
coming together and moving it through the body is really important.
yeah. And we've got a question in the chat. Here, let me put it up on the screen
Oh,
for you. Is this something anyone can do, or do you need to be fit? That's an
good
excellent
question.
Heidi.
Yes. What I always say is that the biggest muscle we're building together is self honoring. Okay. So
Mm,
that means this is an opportunity to not just do what the other girl next to you is doing or do what I'm doing, right? But to do you and to take care of yourself. And that's why we always start like really slowly, moving slowly to stay really tuned in with ourselves so that we can tell when our body's saying, no, I don't think so. Right. And I tell people whether you need to stand on your head or lay, curl in a ball and cry, like, that's welcome here, right? This is a place where we practice honoring ourselves over, herd mentality and just following along, okay, and disconnecting from our body's needs and desires, okay? So there's modifications for things. You don't have to be fit. I have a lot of beginners that come to class. I have been like, really intense in previous lifetimes. And now it's like it's integration, right? So yeah, we do strength training. Strength training is important, but it's never to the point like, it's not like a CrossFit type of thing. It's very integrated with our feminine, intuitive movement and honoring ourselves and moving in a way that feels pleasureful and, right for
Oh,
us.
I love that word. Pleasureful. Pleasureful.
Yeah.
Please. Yes, please. So you do those classes once a week, and
Yep.
then you do privates individually out of your home.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
amazing. And then this is where am I going here? Hold on, give me 1 second. I gotta push all my buttons, everybody. Gotta push all my buttons. So do you do breath work with this stuff? I mean, I know you do.
Yeah, we
Is it
do.
like activating breath work ever or
It depends. Like right now, we would not be doing activating breath work, okay?
it's too
Activating
we're
activating
activated
breath
enough
work,
right now.
yeah. Activating breath work, like a Wim Hof style breath work, for example, it is a great way to get ourselves, like if we're in a frozen state, that could be a way to help us, bring more charge into the body if that's what we're needing. It's also a great way to build resilience to stress and anxiety over time, but it's not
Mhm.
an acute anxiety relief strategy, right? So, yes, we do breath work in my online studio. There's, for every different flavor of your experience, whether you're anxious or whether you're depressed or whether you're resourced, or whether you're feeling like low and slow and needing restorative, like you can pick things depending on your state and what you're needing, which is really what I'm here trying to help people to do for themselves, right? To understand their needs, to understand their nervous systems, and then to be able to understand why we use these tools and to ultimately be able to, self apply these tools in the appropriate situations, right? So in activating breath work, like I said, if we woke up groggy, hard to get moving, we might do some activating breath work. Or if we have anxiety, but we're like not in a crisis, we may start to, give ourselves that a little daily because then we learn how to stay calm amidst the activation.
Right. And I mean, that's going to take our community a while to
Oh,
come
yeah.
out of that PTSD.
Right.
And someone's asking something else. I'm not in the area, wish I was, but this is the kind of family I belong with, helping each other in times of need, not looking at the profit.
Mhm.
This is the kind of people I trust because they believe in themselves and what they
Mhm.
are sharing. Thank you both, you and I, for the light
Mhm.
we are giving the world. Thank you, MJ.
Thank you, MJ.
That was
Honestly, I have experienced so much beauty and so much connection,
yeah,
so
like
much
humanity
fulfillment.
really good at heart, and it's it's fascinating to witness that and unfortunate that it is a crisis or whatever that is facilitating it, but that's the lemonade out of the
Mhm.
lemons as
Mhm.
we unite, right? And there's so many divisive and decisive
Mm.
energies coming at everyone in every corner of the world right now. And I really feel like this is a huge activation of the 5D consciousness that in my heart of hearts, I know I came here to build for Asheville, my family, the planet, humanity, all of my multidimensional selves. No, and what I wanna remind everyone of, you may need some activating breath work this Wednesday because we've got a really powerful full moon coming in Aries on Thursday, which is starting to get activated, so people are starting to get a little well, I am because I have a lot of Aries in my chart, like I told you. So I'm already starting to be like, okay, okay, okay. So what is your online courses? What does that part look like of your practice?
Yeah. So, a large part of it is education. So there's a lot of somatic trainings inside and self-care trainings so that you're learning how the nervous system works, learning about your needs just as a human being, right? Because it's funny how no one teaches us this stuff, right? It's like like we're supposed to know it, right? And
Yeah.
so it's really helpful, right? Like we understand like what we need and how our nervous system works, and then you're also like learning the skills, right? And how to apply them. Okay? So education and self-care training is a large portion of that. And then I also encourage people to start a morning practice. Okay, so I give a very simple outline of a morning centering practice that people can start to engage on a daily basis. I think really even just a moment of centering in the morning can like really shift um, like our capacity to navigate and our power as we like
Hey,
go out into the world in such a
that's
big
a
way.
foundation. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So I give people, I give people that, but then I also like create kind of like somewhat channeled guided practices so that, and I do them every day, like I could just hit play on them and sit and be guided, and some of those have breath work, some of them have tapping, some of them have intuitive movement, a lot of them just meditation as well. And so morning practices are a big component to that, and then integrated strength practices. And when I say that integrated, like it's all like empower, so it has everything in there. Every time you work out with me, you're going to get a little bit of the somatics, right? A little bit of the feminine embodiment, a little bit of the strength, and a little bit of the like alignment with our inner guidance, right? Like that's kind of that always comes together, right? But there's workouts, right? Strength training, workouts. Um, Strength training is really important for us. We're losing muscle by the time we're like 30, 35, as our hormones start to deplenish, especially as women, but even men, we start to lose muscle mass. And the more the stronger we are, the more we prevent dementia,
Mhm.
the more we support our capacity to process sugars, right? It really affects every part of our health. And it's really one of the number one things that we can do to age gracefully. Not only that, but like you look better, you feel better. It translates to confidence and resilience and how you carry yourself. And if someone's gonna actually fuck with you if you're walking down the street at night, like it
Stand
it
down, bitches.
yeah, like it changes everything. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of strength training practices in there. And then there are the restorative pain and trauma release practices. So some of them are trigger point release practices using like a little massage ball, and
Okay.
some of them are just somatic exercises, a lot of like pendulating movements and just sacred space so that we can go and release the stuff that we've been storing. Okay. So there's trauma and pain release practices, and then there's practices for when you're just freaking triggered, right? Like if you're feeling anxious or you're feeling depressed, there's guided somatic practices to help you just feel better in the moment and regulate your nervous system in the moment and come back to your inner guidance in the moment. So I know that when I was going through my dark night of the soul, and even when things just get hard in current life, having something like to push play on, it's like it's hard, especially in these last 10 days, like it's hard to stop, right?
Yeah.
Especially when we have a messy house and things on our mind and responsibilities every which way. Now we most of us work from home, so it's like home is like our office too.
Home
And
is
so
everything.
it can be hard. It can be hard to create that space. And I think that's my biggest role here with the online studio, especially, but really in everything that I do is like I'm here to help hold this container as we learn to hold this space for ourselves, right? We put on some music. You're a sound healer, right? We put on this frequency. It helps us drop in. I'm co-regulating with you because we're there together doing the practice, right? And it's easier to drop in, right?
Yeah.
And I mostly tell people like use this as a time and space to drop into yourself and give yourself what you need. Take my invitations as invitations, but really what I'm here to guide you back to is the wisdom of your animal body, right? And
Love it.
so, yeah,
Now, is this a live thing from your home studio?
this is an on-demand studio, so you can
Awesome.
just like you can browse through kind of like Netflix and see all the categories and choose what you need. What makes my program different is like it's like, okay, like I'm having grief today. Like there's a practice that's supporting grief, right? It's like, oh, I'm feeling anxious right now. Like, okay, like there's practices for that. Like, so I'm like feeling scarcity and wanting to like get in an abundant mindset. Like, okay, there's practices for that. So it's kind of like prescriptive in that way of like
Great.
learning how to like identify where we're at and what we're needing. So, going in there, you can search for stuff and you can find the thing that you'll need to make the biggest impact for you in that moment, right? So that's on demand. I'm also just I used to live stream my class on Wednesdays in a previous incarnation, and I just did a test run before this all happened. And so I'm gonna start live streaming Wednesdays.
Okay.
in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's going to become a component of the online membership. You also, as part of that, you get a one-on-one session with me so that we can kind of, help map your nervous system out, help you. I'm so sorry. Just a second.
That's hilarious because my cat just came over as well. Our furry friends know. Um, she's dealing with her dogs, everybody, and Lovey came over to say hi to you. Uh, yeah, I'm feeling this moon coming in. It's funny because your dogs came in, Lizzy, right as my cat came over. So, and this is the Helene, the 30 days for free is for Asheville. Hi, Anne Marie. The 30 days for free is for Asheville residents, right? Like,
It's for anybody that's affected by yeah. I mean, we had hurricanes and trauma all up and down the coast. So that is really, I mean, it's if you need it,
I
right?
mean, that's what we're
Use it.
you and I and I mean, I worked all weekend with my platonic sound program. I did a free sound healing for people, and, I love that all of us local light workers were like, "Let's use our tools. Here, no, it's
Exactly.
free." Just like
It's a sacred act to show up right now in the ways that we can and to plug ourselves in to this whole and to healing this collective, right? Like I notice the people that are doing that in healthy, moderation are the ones that are, doing better, right? It's like if we're stuck at home, we're probably not going to feel great. One of the guys I was serving with, he was in New Orleans for Katrina and he was like, "Yeah, being here is cheaper than therapy." And moving it through our body, plugging in, serving the food, or doing the Zoom call, the ceremony, whatever is our thing, like just giving whatever it is that we can give is a really sacred act that helps us heal and process the trauma. Right now, some of us are overfunctioners and have to reel it back a little bit, right? So it's definitely about finding that balance. But there is a sacred reciprocity, but where we all show up, and we're seeing that on such a large scale. People coming in from different parts of the state and of the country, coming in to just everybody plugging in to do anything they can. It is phenomenal to witness. It's inspiring.
It is. And, something that I've also noticed, the days that I am down, it's like, okay, and I've just had so many the last 7 years of my life. I'm at this point today I've asked God how several times, who do you think I am? Who? But, knowing thyself, like if because a lot of us that have had some rough years, that trauma level is still being healed or whatever, and knowing thyself and being like, okay, that's not going to be where I can be of service and still maintain a high frequency. But, because we are light workers, the guilt that comes up, like,
Mm,
I didn't lose my whole house. I didn't lose okay, I still don't have water. I never even lost power, and everything
mhm.
looks the same, but I know in the field that there's so much. So even doing your on-demand prescription on your site would be super supportive for that as well, because it's
Absolutely. The biggest thing, one of the other biggest things that I'm here for is kind of like death dueling our shame, right?
yeah,
We do so much shaming of
ah,
what we're experiencing. And from
ah,
that shame, we can't move forward and process whatever is there, right? So that's always the first step in anything that we do together is just, and that's kind of the essence of EFT too. It's like, even though I'm feeling fill in the blank, I choose to love and forgive myself, right? It's like, even though I'm feeling like I'm not doing enough right now or guilty because I survived and I didn't lose as much as my neighbor, like holding ourselves in that experience first and foremost. Like, the more we can meet ourselves with empathy and compassion, whether it's being, shut down, or it's the survivor's guilt, or we're not doing enough, or whatever it is, like and all of these experiences are so valid. That's why it's so nice to come together in community too, because we hear how everybody else is doing, and there's something in our shared experience that helps us, you know, we get so caught in our own experience, right? And it's like, oh yeah, she's having this, she's feeling guilty, she's taking care of her kids, she can't go out and volunteer. The people that are volunteering look like heroes, and other people feel like, hey, look, we're all coping in our own ways, and it's okay, right? And we're gonna need helpers like for a long time. And whatever you're doing to take care of yourself or your family or your home or whatever, like it counts. Like, give yourself credit and grace, and all the resting. Like, we really gotta, like, take care of ourselves. This is a marathon, not a sprint, right? And so we're
Real.
gonna need people at each, like a relay kind of race, like, okay, I need a rest now. I didn't think I could step away from volunteering, but hey, other people showed up and I got to shift over to, the trauma healing work that I'm also here to do besides just this, frontline serving. So it gives other people an opportunity, right? When we rest, somebody else can step in, right? People are wanting to plug and
There's such a universal trust in that also, because no, you got to get your own, or you got to da da da. It's like, well, set the foundation for your family and you first so that you're solid, and then go out and be of service until you just can't no more. And then come back, refuel, go on out. And
and have some fun. You're such an ambassador of fun. Like I went to a
yeah.
dance party in the park, and again, people are moving it through their
Well,
body,
you gotta tell me
connecting.
next time there's a dance party, because I have not gone dancing in forever and a day, and I can
Sundays
shake
at
my
Mumford Park.
where?
Sundays at Mumford Park.
Oh my goddess.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. And there was a food truck and people were, dancing it out and hugging, and there was a sound healing afterwards. And I have my kid, and there's a sense of like, yeah, we got to take days off from all the work to just dance and play and decompress
Yeah.
and rest, right? And so all of that is important, and just the more we could do, do it all in balance, the better we're going to feel. And we need to start, recognizing, okay, how am I feeling? Like our body's going to tell us I'm off balance here, right? I've been pushing too hard, helping too much, or I've been frozen too much and I need to get out there, or I need a day off for rest or play. Like in having this time to just tune in. Like I can feel myself if I tune in, my throat saying, after this podcast, just snuggle up and
So it's
rest, drink water, you know?
I have to do a pep talk recording for the Aries moon, so
Mm.
I'm gonna still be channeling some of my fire as this
Yeah.
starts to
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
weather's shifting here, and
Mm.
it rained a little bit here last night. Did it rain
Is
where
it?
you?
I don't think so.
That's interesting. Huh? Because
Could have.
it's starting to feel a little dry because we haven't had any rain.
Very dry.
Interesting. Mhm.
Mm.
Lizzy, I feel complete. How do you feel?
I feel great. Thank you
I
so
feel,
much for having me on. It's so
oh
fun
my
chatting with
gosh.
you.
So, and I'm gonna be traveling this weekend, but when I get back, I'm gonna come to your class on Wednesday at 9:15.
Yes. It's
That's
so
what
good to be
I'm.
together. It's going to be so juicy right now,
Oh,
too.
oh,
It's,
that's a question. What should I wear? Just like normal yoga clothes or
yeah, normal
whatever
yoga
I'm
clothes.
comfy
Yeah, we
in?
usually go barefoot.
Okay.
So you're welcome to be barefoot. Yeah,
Bring
yoga
our own yoga
clothes.
mats.
Yeah, bring your mat. We also have some there. Bring a water bottle. Everything else will be there.
I mean, but bring water. Awesome.
Yeah.
Bring
We'll
water.
be we'll be needing to bring water everywhere for a
Everybody
while.
bring water. I mean, everybody should bring water wherever they go anyway, but like bring extra water,
And there's
right?
probably like so many cases of bottled water over there. There's supplies. The owner is amazing, and she's been a supply hub, and she's been, receiving supplies because she has a big space and carting them off to different hubs around. She's so beautiful and heart centered. And I really want to see this studio, you know,
Flourish.
give its gift because we do have a sacred role in uplifting our people right now, and also for that studio to prosper, and to continue to be a place of upliftment and healing and connection and community and diversity and like love, in our community, because it really is.
I love it. Well, I can't wait. I'm going to put it on my calendar. And is there any last words that you would like to share with everybody?
Well, A, just like if you have any questions or if you need support, just like find me and reach out, send me a DM. But I just really feel that as hard as what we're going through is, that there is some divine order and that it is waking us up to really how beautiful that we can be as humans, and how when we each show up with our piece of the puzzle and we give that wholeheartedly in right relation with taking care of ourselves, that like we can create really something beautiful, a beautiful world. So I hope that as we go back into normalcy, over these next couple weeks, that we take the moment like every day to just almost like microdose on the medicine of connection and camaraderie, togetherness, resilience and love and generosity that we've experienced maybe hopefully over these
Right?
past couple weeks, and that we stay connected to that, right?
Yeah.
Because people are going to go back to their screens and to their whatever
Into
we're
the
going to go back to.
politics, into that whole game,
Yeah, but
into
like
yeah.
those of us who are like, you know, co- becoming conscious, like let us go first and let us stay connected to this energy that we're feeling right now, like as a sacred daily practice to be this and to vibrate this out into the world and to help us and our neighbors remember this as we start to move back into, the new normal.
I don't yeah, the new normal. The new.
Yeah,
I'm s the
meet
new
meet your neighbors for a potluck. Like, don't let this connection just slip away. Like,
yeah,
it's Halloween coming up. Like, there's some fall get together. Like, invite your friends over for a fire, for a potluck. Like, let's get conversations going about how we can keep this energy moving forward. And just keep reaching for each other. Honestly, we thought all these conveniences of being in our home and having everything, DIY on our own is gonna like make us better, but like we're just kind of drifting apart from each other, right? So
right.
lean towards each other in this time.
Yeah, that's what the unity consciousness is all about, sister. That's the
Yes.
trajectory I'm on. Let's go, go. Ah, so many beautiful words of wisdom. I thank you with all my heart for your yes to come on and share your magic. And I've got your empower body mind soul dot vhx
X.
dot tv. Listen, and I'm almost 50. And stay online so we can wrap up in the green room. And I am so excited to get reconnected with you in the physical after
Mm,
a decade.
decade.
Oh my God, amazing. All right, sister. Thank you so much,
You're so
everybody.
welcome.
Check
Thank
out
you.
Lizzy. Maybe I'll see you at the studio, folks in the chat on Wednesday if you're local in Asheville.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Love you all so much. Thank you for tuning in. Share and